On this episode of the High Quality Fun podcast, we talk to Charlie, a downhill longboarder who spends his free time bombing the mountains throughout Europe at 70 plus miles per hour. In this episode, we talk about how the community surrounding longboarding has shaped his life and has given him an appreciation for the beauty of the world. Hear how Charlie has established lifelong friendships with people all over the world through this high-velocity sport, and how each year he takes a multi-week road trip across Europe to hit up all the events. It's a story of a man and his board that you don't want to miss. Stay tuned and enjoy the episode.
I'm Carlos. I'm half Swiss and half Spanish. I grew up in Bern, which is the capital of Switzerland. I spent my 10 first years, and then I moved to Mallorca. And it was here where I started to practice this sport. But the roots, they started to grow up in Switzerland because my best friend Loris, shout out to him, was always my friend that showed me new hobbies, like new stuff to do. So yes, since we were kids, we luckily are still friends. He always showed me something new. So he was like my main fountain of inspirations. And well, we started like doing a lot of stuff, like even playing Pokemon. Then we started to play with the Diabolo. Then we started to play yo-yo, which is also very interesting. I also got a lot into yo-yo. Like I went also to competitions in Spain. I got the third of Spain in 2014, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, it was always funny because he always discovered something new to do. So when he showed me that new thing, he was always way more better than me. So his level was definitely better than mine at the beginning. And we arrived to a point where we had more or less the same level. And then he normally started to do something different because he was already bored of what we were doing in that moment. So I started to get very good. And well, for example, with some other hobbies, I also stopped and never did it again. But for example, with yo-yoing, I arrived very far away. I even had the pro model with the American brand called the Yo-Yo Factory, and yeah, it was also very funny. So one day he introduced me into longboarding, but just longboarding, like not downhill skateboarding. So he just bought a loaded Tantion. Like Loaded is a very famous brand in the longboarding world, and
I
offers
actually have that exact board downstairs, the Tantian.
yes. That was like the board he bought, and well, he bought it with the intention of sliding. Like he wanted to learn how to slide, and in that moment he thought like the loaded Tantin would be one of the best boards to try this. And it it was not like that. Like now that I have a lot of knowledge about the sport, I think I couldn't be able to do what I do with the loaded Tantin. But yeah, it was so mainstream that we thought like, yeah, this sport we need it, and when we got it, we will learn very easy how to slide and all that stuff. So yeah, we even started to build our own gloves because at this point we didn't know where we could buy the gloves. So we just bought like normal gloves, and we also bought a cutting table, and we chopped it into a circular form, and we just glued it, and yeah, we just started to practice like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, he
for the listeners, if you get into this sport, everyone wears gloves and they have these plastic or urethane pucks on them, and So as you're bombing these hills, you can actually touch the pavement with these pucks and slide and maneuver your body around. And when I was getting into it, we were doing the same thing, right? I would go in my dad's garage, take a sawzall or a saw and cut a cutting board, just a plastic cutting board into the shapes that you want. And then you take a hot glue gun and you just glue it onto some gardening gloves that you bought from Home Depot. And yeah, that's exactly how I learned. You'd make good pairs and they'd work for, a year or two, and you make really crappy ones and just burn holes through them real quick.
Yeah. I think that's something that everybody did, or most of the current riders we have, or riders that are not riders anymore. But yeah, it was like the cheap version to see if you like the sport, and so you don't waste too much money in something that you maybe won't use that much. So yeah, we just started like that. Then I went back to Mallorca. Like I was living in Mallorca already, but my dad is still living in Switzerland. So sometimes I go to visit him, and I also see my close friends I have since always. So yeah, when I went once, he showed me this sport, and then I came back to Mallorca, and I told myself like, okay, I'm gonna buy a longboard because my friend has one, and I also want to have one, and I want to keep doing it. So yeah, that's how I started, and I was very shy at the beginning when I already got into the downhill culture in a way, because I started to see a lot of videos on YouTube, and yeah, and it was getting way and way more interesting for me. So just the watching videos was a good way to learn, and also to see which gear everybody is riding. And yeah, then I also discovered like the first shops that were like selling proper downhill skateboarding products like wheels, trucks, and boards. And yeah, then once when I went to a shop, like I bought a really bad longboard, but then I went also for the loaded tensions, because I was like, okay, my friend has a loaded tension, so I also have to. I also need a loaded tension, and I didn't even think about another board. I was just like, okay, I want to get the exact same one, so fuck it. And yeah, and then I just started to cruise around, because I think that at the beginning everybody needs to know how to ride on the board. Like, doesn't matter if you are sliding or not, you just have to discover how the balance works on a board and all that stuff. So yeah, I was just cruising most of the time around my city. And then once when I went back to the shop where I bought some other stuff, they told me that there's like a famous trade called the San Rapiña. And yeah, one of these guys that worked in the shop told me that normally on Friday there's a lot of people skating. Like, it was like a tradition, like finishing school like at 3 p.m., something like that, go home, grab some lunch, and go to the hill. So yeah, once I decided to go, but there was like so many people that I felt very shy, and I I knew that they were skating way more better than I. So yeah, it took me a few times to arrive there and stay there. Like, I always went with the mentality, and then when I arrived, I was like so nervous and shy that I always had like an excuse to tell myself like, okay, you should better leave than stay here. But yeah, and after a few times, also some people, like, since the beginning, the community always treated me super good. Like, even when I was just arriving, they were already coming to me and saying hello, and just asking me who I am, and yeah, nice to meet you. Come skate more with us. We are always here, and sometimes we go to some other roads and all that stuff. So yeah, that after a few times going there, I already started to stay there and be part of the sessions they were doing on Friday. And yeah, like honestly, the basic stuff you can learn it on a straight. Like you don't need anything else. You learn how to carve, how to do like the most basic slides you need to know, and from this level you just start to improve everything. It's basically that. And also I think it's the way you need to do it, because I think that this sport has always or had sometimes like a bad vision, because a lot of people also tries this sport and thinks that they already got confident like very fast, like no, I'm already skating for 2 months, I already know how this works. And then suddenly they just have a very bad accident, and they do it in very bad conditions without safety, without uh, proper gear to practice it. And yeah, I think that in Mallorca also we had sometimes a bad vision of the sport from foreign people that doesn't know anything about it, because they didn't practice it in the correct way. Like I also tell that because I'm now skating for 10 years already, and the worst accident I had was a road rash, and I never broke anything. I always think twice what I'm gonna do, because if you are into street skating, for example, I think it's very difficult to die while you practice it. Obviously, you can break way more easy a bone or whatever, but when you are like doing such an extreme sport, you really have to think what you're doing, because maybe if you fall while street skating, you are injured maybe for 6 months. But depending on the conditions you have when you are downhill skating, you can even die. So I was like, dude, I want to do this for the rest of my life and do it like in a healthy way. So yeah, I also saw a lot of people crashing and having bad accidents, people that died. I skated also roads where people died, which is not like this is not something common. But I skated two roads where people died. But yeah, I also think that a lot of these people that died, they died because they didn't know what they were risking. Like they were not paying the attention they need to pay. And yeah, that's when the bad thing happens. And obviously it's an extreme sport. There's always danger, and there can always, like, there's always the possibility that something goes wrong, especially because there's also stuff that you cannot control. But I say, like, try to practice it as safe, as much as safe as you can, like, and I guarantee you that you will enjoy the sport for a lot of years. Like maybe I go skate tomorrow and now I have a very bad accident, I don't know, but I will always take care of myself, because I like it, but I also like to live and enjoy my life in general. So yeah.
Yeah, for me, when I was doing it, I was not going nearly as fast as you. A lot of the stuff I was doing was just like small hills in Michigan, and I've broken 3 bones. I broke this wrist. I got scars and plates and stuff in it. I don't know if you can see
Oh
that.
shit.
And I
Mm-hmm.
busted my collarbone. I got a broken
Oh
collarbone
yeah, that
from
that's very common.
failing.
That's very common. Yeah,
Yeah, and
like
I
sometimes
thought
you
I
are.
was I thought I
Sorry.
was doing it safely too, because I was taking my time, learning how to get used to my gloves, how to slide, but accidents happen. So that's
Yeah.
awesome that you're able to go 70 miles per hour and feel totally in control of everything. Um, before this
Yeah.
call, before this call, we were talking about some of the stuff that you do now when you're bombing those hills with your friends. Like what actually goes into making sure that you get down to the bottom of the hill in one piece? I know you got a lot of protocols you go through to make sure that everything's safe on the way down when you have blind corners and whatnot.
Yeah, that's good. That's good that you ask me that, because sometimes people has like a very bad vision of it, because they think that we are just some random guys bombing a hill without safety measures and anything. But that's not the truth. In like people does it in different ways, but in my case, when we go skating, we always like most of the time we do like full runs that you are maybe at least 1 minute going down a hill. You can also do like corner sessions. It's basically just staying in one corner, and yeah, you just practice one corner and that's it. Like it's more like for chill sessions when you go maybe with some chairs and you just want to put some music and that all the other stuff. But when you do like full runs, it's important to know that you are like skating on open road. So that means that there's always traffic, and you cannot like bump a hill without knowing what is happening in the front of the like or what even is happening in the next corner. So what we do is like we have a car that goes in the front, and the driver has a walkie-talkie. So every 5 seconds, more or less, he tells us if everything is free. So we do it like every 5 seconds, because it's also a way to see that the connection is working, that we are not losing the frequency in a way. So yeah, this person basically tells us if there's a car coming up, motorbike, cyclist, if there's people walking on the border of the road, or if there's a stone, if the pavement is wet, doesn't matter. Like everything that can affect the run that you are doing, then you try to inform it. Like and yeah, like we just like nowadays everybody has a driving license, so it's also cool because I do like the first run with the car, then my next friend does the run with the car, so we all skate as much as the others. And yeah, and obviously there's also like stuff that we cannot control, like maybe I'm going down with the car and everything is free, nothing strange is happening, but then I pass a corner, and after passing the corner there's maybe, I don't know, a cow coming to the road. Some stuff can happen. You are also normally in the nature. Sometimes in Mallorca we also skate like very rich neighborhoods close to the coast, and those normally don't have anything related with animals. But maybe if you are like I don't know, in a main mountain, you will also cross with animals, and it's maybe something you cannot control. So when, like, at least in my case, when I skate open traffic, I I like to risk it in a way, but I have my limit. Like I never do a run at 100%, like giving everything I have from myself to try to do it as good as possible. I go fast. I also, yeah, try new stuff or new lines I had in mind. But I know I'm not in a closed road or in an event, so I think it's not worth it to be always in that 100% because you can go maybe 80% and have the same fun, and maybe in one corner instead of doing two slides. Instead of doing one slide, you do two slides, and that's it. And you can have the same amount of fun, even if you did one more slide. So yeah, I think it's just something you need to control because also adrenaline is very addictive, and once you are like going down and like skating a fast road or doing like very long slides, it gives you so much adrenaline that you just don't want to stop. But I think that's like the the I don't know how to explain it, but like the dangerous part of doing it, that in that moment you have to talk to yourself and say like, okay, you are killing this run, you're doing like very long slides, or you are taking like perfect lines like Formula One. But dude, take care. Don't forget that you are skating like a open road. So even even if I'm telling now all that stuff, I also had like risky moments where maybe I decided to risk more, and I had like close calls in a way. Like I remember that once I went into a corner like at 80 kilometers per hour. I don't know how many miles that are, but yeah, it's kind of fast. And I knew that I was risking too much, but I still decided to do it. And at the end, I had like a very close call with the car that was coming up. He was more on my lane than on his lane. But anyways, in that moment, that doesn't matter. Like if I hit the car, I hit the car, and maybe I break something or even die. So in that moment, I passed. Nothing bad happened. But when I had this situation, I was like, wow, I think I'm very lucky right now because I didn't crash. And if I would have crashed, maybe I would be now in a hospital or not even walking anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm now putting like the worst examples, but you never know what can happen. So yeah, like just trying to take care, and even if you don't risk or give everything you have, it doesn't matter. Like then you have like also the events where you know that the traffic is closed and where you can also risk it a bit more. You also have like hail bales that are like the main protections they put on the corners in case you slip out or whatever. So I think it's also a good area to feel more comfortable and maybe try to go a bit faster, to slide a bit more, all that stuff. But at the end, it's an extreme sport. So everybody that does an extreme sport knows that even if you take or try to take care of everything, you will never have everything under control. But that's part of the game. It's like also if you are hiking a mountain, maybe the string that is holding you can break, and then you fall from 30 meters, or I don't know. It's always something that you don't know if it can happen or not. So it's the first decision you take of of trying to do an extreme sport. So it's something that it's like a contract you have to sign with your insurance, like life insurance. Like shit can happen, but you can also have a lot of fun. So you want to sign it or not? That's the way.
Yeah, I think it's important for the listeners to know what all goes into the safety with this, because you're just like riding public roads, doing all this stuff. Um, I know that you travel quite a bit for this because these hills are you're in the city and these hills are probably an hour or two outside of where you live. In some of the images I was looking on your account, you have tents and stuff set up. So when you're going to these, how long are you actually going to skate these hills for, and how many people are you normally going with?
Mhm. Well, if I'm in Mallorca, we are very lucky because, well, even if Mallorca is the biggest island we have in Spain, everything is very close. Like, if you are originally from Mallorca, if I tell you to go to Alcudia, which is a village in the north part of the island, everybody will say you like, "Oh no, man, that's too far away. I don't want to drive 45 minutes." But you don't even need to drive 45 minutes. We have like our local road is a military road. It's a military base, and the army even already knows us. Like they are super chill, super cool. They don't mind if we go skating. They even know that we are always with our radios on, like the walkie-talkies, and sometimes they hear our frequencies, so they know that we are currently skating, even if they are not there. So it's kind of fun. And this road, for example, is just 5 minutes away from my house. Like obviously by car, but in 5 minutes I already have maybe 3.4 kilometers long road with the perfect pavement, all type of corners. So yeah, if I'm in Mallorca, it doesn't take too much time, depending also on which road you want to skate. But if I have
You
to
mentioned
mention,
going on
like,
some you mentioned going on some tours though where you might be out for 2 weeks at a time. Uh, can you tell us how that normally goes, where you're sleeping, and how
sure,
far
sure,
you
yeah,
travel in these time periods?
yeah. Well, like the main trip we do is called the Euro Tour. Euro Tour is the name we give to the trip we do in summer, because in summer most of the events happen. So it it depends on you, like how much time you wanna travel. Like maybe the main there are always like main events, and then there are also a lot of secondary events, like small events that they do maybe in the village of France. Like France is actually one of the countries that does uh, most of the free rides. Like a free ride is a normal event where you just go to have fun and meet new people or just meet friends you have in other countries. So it's a good point to meet other people that is maybe one of, like I have very good friends that I see maybe once or twice every year. But even if we don't see us that much, when we are there, we we enjoy it that much that it feels like I saw this person like just 2 weeks ago. So it's very cool. But yeah, basically there are like the main events, which are also like competitions, and they are like organized in a row. Like maybe the first one is in Italy, the second one is in France, the third one is in, I don't know, Slovenia, and we have also normally one in Romania. So it depends on you. Like if you have enough money and enough free time to do like the whole Euro tour, you are maybe traveling like 2 months or even more. And yeah, you are just in some random countries, in the middle of the nature most of the time, just living on a tent, washing your clothes on a river or in a lake, cooking your food with the camping gas, and yeah, just living like this. nature lifestyle. There's also people that prefers to stay like in a motel or whatever, because it's at the end obviously more comfortable. But I don't know, like personally, I like the vibe of camping. It's also something that I always enjoyed. And I also got in love with this type of sport because it's for me it's not just only a sport, it's also like a lifestyle, because I discovered so many countries just with a piece of wood. I met so many people. I learned a lot of things from myself, and yeah, I focused it more like a lifestyle than just an extreme sport, because it offers way more than just adrenaline, and that's it. So yeah, you are just camping, meeting a lot of people. There's people leaving, there's people coming, and
How
also
many people
like
do you normally, when you do these tours, how many people do you normally run into or travel with?
um, it depends. Like you normally go always in the same car. Like for example, in 2018, I did like a 3 weeks trip with some friends from Mallorca, and we went with a car from Mallorca to Slovenia. So it's like a 23 hours drive more or less, or maybe a bit less, maybe 19. I don't remember, but I don't remember it because I was having so much fun on the journey that it was like a short trip. And also once I did like a trip of 10 hours in a row, and it felt like 4 hours because even if you're in the car, like yeah, just with the music, having a lot of fun with your friends, you can also stop in different places to also do like a bit of tourism. But yeah, I normally drive like with maximum 3 people or four. And once we arrive to an event, mm, we see a lot of people. Like, for example, the one I mentioned in Slovenia. I don't know. I think we are like 200 riders
Wow.
staying
Okay.
there for like 5 days. Like also the events are different. Also, like on the days, like a few are like maybe 5 days, others are just 2 days, others are 3 days. So it depends. But this one is always 5 days, if I'm not wrong. Back in the days, it used to be 2 weeks, because this event is called the K&K Longboard Camp. So it's like a camp, like a summer camp in a way. So yeah, I don't know. I never spent that so much time there. I spent normally 5 or 6 days. But yeah, it's just 5 or 6 days of pure fun, skating an awesome road that has 18 corners. You are just in the middle of nowhere. Like we go to a village that is called Osilnica, and it's in close to the border of Croatia. And I don't know, like the landscapes are gorgeous. You just are skating during the morning and the afternoon. Then after skating, you go to the lake to have a bath. Everybody comes with you. Everybody puts music. You share some beers. I don't know, like it's very familiar. Like it's also something I like because it's not a very big international community, but I think that makes it also a bit more special because it's obviously an international sport, and there's always people that you still don't know or you haven't met, but you normally know most of the community. So it feels like a big family, and I maybe met one or two persons that I didn't like or were just rude or whatever. But normally everybody is super kind, super friendly. that also likes to share the same vibes than you. And yeah, you are just cruising around. Maybe the first week you are in Italy because the first event is there, and then the next one is maybe in France, but it's the next weekend maybe. So you still have like 5 days between those two events to maybe go to famous mountain passes, which is also like something typical that we skate. Doesn't matter if it's like mountain passes from Switzerland, from France, from Spain, whatever. And also there are also a lot of legendary roads that you know that if you go there, you will probably see some other skaters just chilling there for a couple days until heading to the next event. And that's how the Euro Tour goes. And depends on your budget, depends on how much time you have, and when you have to leave, you have to leave, which is always a very sad moment because you always have to say goodbye to a lot of people. But yeah, it's part of it. And when you arrive back home, you don't even know what the bed is because you spent maybe 2 weeks sleeping on a tent. And yeah, it's even funny to arrive back home having like a normal shower, a dishwasher, a kitchen to cook. So yeah, you just arrive and you're already waiting for the next summer to keep like living great moments with people that shares like the same passion than you.
Yeah, going back to the fact that this is still a pretty small community, I feel like even though a lot of people are starting to hear about downhill skateboarding, longboarding, it's still a pretty underground sport. I mean, it's not in the Olympics, I think it's in X Games and stuff like that, but it is a very small, close-knit group of people. And because there's not a lot of events around the world, you get those 200 people, and I bet those are people from all over the world. You probably have a lot of people from California, the United States, Europe. I think there's a scene in Australia as well. So
Yeah,
are you getting a chance to meet a lot of the famous people that you follow in the scene?
yeah, exactly. And it's also funny because maybe you meet some Aussie guys, and even if you go back home and just saw them 2 days, they are like family already. Like if you go to Australia and you don't have a place to stay, it doesn't matter that you already know that you have a home there. Like there's somebody waiting at his or her house with the door open because they know that you are arriving and you maybe don't have a place to stay. So it's cool because even if you meet normally the people on events, these same people, they will also visit you on your country or in your home city. Doesn't matter. Like, okay, you are from Mallorca. Okay, I was always interested in visiting this island, so maybe in 2 months or 3 months I can go and you show me around, and then they come visit you, and then when they leave you go visit them to the city or country they are from, and yeah, make like a lot of connections. So it's also very very funny like in that way. But yeah, the community is not big, and sometimes I even prefer it because everybody knows everybody. And even if there are a lot of competitions, it's always like a nice competition. There's never like people that they just focus on on themselves and they just want to win and don't give a fuck about the rest of the people. Like they have like racing mentality, but they are still stoked if your friend wins international competition, and you just tell yourself like, okay, you did a great job. Now you just have to improve a bit more, and maybe you are the next time in the podium instead of your friend. So it's like very healthy in a way. It's not very like uh, like bad competition. I don't know how to explain it.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Mm.
Yeah, before we wrap up, is there any stories that you would like to tell? Like when you're talking about longboarding, what are the favorite stories that come to mind, good or bad? I don't know. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Man, I have so many stories, but well, once in 2019, a lot of friends from Madrid, which is the capital of Spain, and Barcelona. No, Barcelona, not. No, all were from Madrid. Sorry, they came visit us to Mallorca because for the people from Madrid, Mallorca was always something very attractive. So they already came a few times before this time in 2019. But in 2019 we had like a sick time. They came for a week, and it was Eastern. So in Eastern here in Spain, we normally have 1 week of holidays, and we just have an awesome week of just vibing and skating all around the island. Um, like the community in Mallorca is something that I still didn't mention, but back in the days we were a lot, like maybe 30 people skating on Friday, just stupid straight. But with the pass of the time, a lot of people quit. Some others just got interested in some other stuff. Some others maybe crashed and hurt themselves and started to stop. So nowadays, from Mallorca, we are only maybe 4 or 5 people that still skates a lot. Like there's sometimes people that skates maybe 3 times every year, but it's not like consistent. Like riders that are consistent in Mallorca are maybe 5 people or 4. So when we had the visit of these guys from Madrid, it was super cool because suddenly we were like doing runs of maybe 9 people or something like that, which was for us like something that we couldn't imagine anymore. Because yeah, like we normally just skate like 2 or 3 together during a run, and one is driving, and now suddenly you have like you look back and you have like 8 more heads just watching you and going for the next corner. So yeah, that was a very great time. And also, but if I need to tell all the stories I have, this podcast will never finish. But also, like all Euro tours in general are always like amazing because each Euro tour is different. You start in a different place, you end in a different place, you meet different people, and yeah, you also go to magical places like as I told you before, we skate normally open roads, and also that we like something else that we like to skate are the mountain passes, which is also open traffic, but it's like the roads that connect big mountains, and yeah, they are normally like amazing hills with gorgeous views, very good pavement. So I always like to go to 2 mountain passes that are in France. One is called Col de la Bonette, which was back in the days the highest mountain road the highest mountain pass in Europe. Now it's another one. I don't remember, but the place at itself is like so beautiful, and you are maybe like skating, like doing a run of 35 minutes, and you are surrounded by friends. And in this, like, this is like a legendary road, for example. And even if you go there after an event without knowing that somebody else is going, it doesn't matter. You know that you will meet somebody there. And at the end, you are maybe doing like runs of 10, 15 people just going down a hill. And then you go to the camping site and you do like a big fire. You just put music, have some beers, tell different stories. I don't know. It's just a vibe. It's difficult to explain it because I think you have to live it. But yeah, all my Euro tours were magical. And yeah, and what I really appreciate is also like the places that downhill skateboarding takes me to, because Col de la Bonette, for example, has also like bunkers from the Second World War, and you can visit them. Some of the floors are full of snow because you are maybe on a latitude of 2,800 meters or something like that. So it's very cold, and you are also like visiting something historical, or then you go to another place which has also like something characteristic or like special that not other places have. And and yeah, that's it. Like I definitely have too many stories to tell about, but in general, like all the journeys I have with my skateboard are amazing. This summer, for example, I was now working almost for a year, and I took like a week of holidays because we had two friends from the US visiting us to do like a 1 month trip. So they spent 1 week in Mallorca. We showed them around. Then they went to Granada, where I'm currently living, which is the south of Spain. And well, I was not able to join at that point of the trip, but then the next destination was Portugal. So I met them in Portugal, and I just spent 1 week, but it was also like a magical week, like exploring the whole country. We started like in Lisbon, and we went all up. And yeah, that trip was also like unique and magical, and offered like other stuff that maybe other trips didn't offer. And and yeah, like each journey I do is amazing. Basically, that's the summary of my best experiences in a way.
I love it, man. I can see it in your voice, on your face. If you're watching, you are definitely passionate about this. You're if people are to check out your pages and stuff, you can see some of these incredible views and slides and stunts that you and your friends are performing. Yeah, I love hearing about these different communities that people build around these intense hobbies and adventures that they find.
Mhm.
And yours is no different. I really appreciate you coming on and speaking with me. Why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners where they can find you, give any shout outs that you want, and then we'll close it down.
Okay. Well, the shout out is basically for all my friends that are into this sport, because they showed me how amazing it is. And well, for those that want to check maybe my Instagram profile, it's called Carlos, Carlos AA. And if you write that, you will probably see already my face on the profile. And yeah, basically Carlos Alvarez with two A's at the beginning of Alvarez.
I'll link
Uh,
to it when I post this podcast too, so people will be able to locate it
all
from
right,
that.
all right. But yeah, just for those that want to check my content, I'm one of these guys that is kind of lazy sometimes to post new stuff. but I also have like amazing friends that are maybe filmmakers and work like I have friends that work maybe for GoPro and do like way more better videos than I. But well, once you check my profile, you can also see the comments. Start to explore by your own a bit who this person is and what this person has done on a skateboard too, and yeah, like everybody is different in this community, and that's also nice because everybody shows you something different, and yeah, that's it. I don't know. So thank you also for inviting me. It felt like so short, but at the end we also talked about a lot of stuff. And yeah, for those that are maybe interested in trying this sport, you can definitely send me a message or let me know if you need any advertisements, or if you just want to know a bit more about this sport. You guys are always welcome to ask me, and that's it. And the last thing I want to say is that, well, I still didn't see any of your podcast, so I don't know what other content you already uploaded. But well, doesn't matter if you also did like podcast with people that does like extreme sports or whatever. I always say that the important thing is to find something that makes you feel alive. And in my case, I got lucky and I found it with this sport. But this doesn't mean that you need to try it. No, it doesn't matter. You just have to find what you love, like something that you could always do on your in your free time, or even if it would be your work. So yeah, I just hope that everybody has something in their lives that make them feel as much alive as me when I'm skating. And, and yeah, so that's it. Shout out to all the people that watch your podcast. I hope they enjoy them. Now I have also some free time now that I finished my exams. So I will definitely also check a bit more your profile and hear some other podcasts you already did, because there's always interesting stuff that I like to listen, and I love podcasts. So yeah, I will definitely check them out, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the High Quality Fun podcast. If you guys enjoyed this show, please give us a follow. And if you have a good story or just want to say hi, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram or YouTube. Thanks for listening.